Hey, y'all can hear me now. Y'all got me? What's up, YouTube? Poor.Mans.Podcast back with another live stream. I am here today with a special guest, okay? He has his own YouTube channel called Pocket Watching with JT. He helps educate people with their financial literacy. He helps you get your financial literacy up. He's managed millions of dollars in accounts and assets. Introducing JT. What's going on, JT?
Yes, sir, man. First and foremost, I have to thank you for the invite, my brother. I've been a fan of your content way before my channel got any type of buzz on it, man. So I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I'm happy to have you on. I'm really happy to have you on because there's just our culture kind of obsesses over money, right? Like it's in our music, it's in our movies, it's all over. But and I get it because we're in a capitalistic society, right? So in a capitalist society, money usually equals power. But unfortunately, we have a lot of people that just go and trick their money off. And there's a lot of people that there seems to be a lot of people that's more interested in looking rich instead of actually learning what it takes to get there. What are some of just hopping right into the first question? What are some of the major differences you've noticed when it comes to people who have money and people who just want to look the part?
Oh, man. I want to say the major difference is the way they view money, right? The way they use money as a tool, I think is the major difference, right? So if you take the average person that's coming from a low income background, they view money as something to obtain, something to try to get as a badge of honor. To be able to wear it, to be able to be seen with it, it's a goal for them to get, right?
Right.
The major difference between them and someone who is either financially literate or they come from money, the person who comes from money, or if they're financially literate, they understand that getting money isn't the goal.
Right.
The money is a tool for them to achieve other things. And the way that I like to explain it, man, I use money like bullets, right?
Okay, talk to me. Talk to him, JT. I see you warming up.
Pop up in my life, right? Unexpected emergencies, or I've got certain goals, things that I want to get, new house, new car, whatever it is. When those things pop up, my money are like bullets that I have in reserve. So when things pop up, I'm able to take a shot at it, put it down, and achieve my goal.
Right.
Imagine how weird you would be if you're playing some game, Call of Duty or something like that, and you're loading up with ammunition just to walk around like you look like Rambo. You're never really taking any shots at the competition. You just want to show off how you were able to accumulate so much in ammunition. It's insane, but practically, that's how we use money if we're using it the wrong way. You're just gathering it around to show it off instead of actually using it as the tool that it should be used as.
And so a lot of the people that you've dealt with that have more of that tool use it like a tool instead of just something they can use for instant gratification. I see a lot of people doing that, man. And specifically with the younger crowd, like I've dealt with this because I'm 25 now. So so I'm a little younger, but like from 18 to 25, I've seen so many people trying to compete with social media. Right. It seemed like there was a huge competition. Do you have any advice for the younger crowd that's out there and they feel like they need to compete against social media to prove their worth or to show that they have value, especially when they don't actually have it? Because there's an exception. Dad had some money, so now you got a little bit of money. But for the most part, when you from 18 to 25, you trying to look the part instead of actually having it. Do you have any advice for the younger crowd that's trying to compete with social media?
Absolutely. Listen up. If you are trying to compete with social media, realize two main points. Point number one, who are you trying to impress? This is a personal issue, right? If you're trying to keep up with social media, you have to answer the question, who am I actually trying to impress by trying to either keep up to a standard or try to present a standard that I don't actually have?
Right.
That's number one. Answer that question. When you figure out who you're trying to impress, okay, now we can move to point number 2. Point number 2, the people who you're trying to keep up with, they are also faking. Not only are they faking, they don't care about you anyway. Right. They don't care about you. So you're not even impressing the people who you're trying to impress. Real wealth, there is no competition between them in a flashy way. Competition is more on ideas and concepts. Competition between real men, right? Competition between real men is based on accomplishments. Right. I've seen situations that there's always that concept of new money. New money is something that old money laughs at. Why? You're in a room full of accomplished men who have worked their lives to create something, to produce something. They have careers. They're accomplished. Let's say you have a room, 2 millionaires. One guy busts his butt and he has a tech company. The other guy busts his butt and he went through some sort of profession, be it a doctor, lawyer, accountant, something like that. Then you got a guy who walks in the room and he won the lottery. Now, yeah, they're all millionaires, but new money ain't respected like old money. So you got to stop competing, because even the people you're trying to impress, to them, you're not even in the club anyway. Right. So you're wasting a lot of time. You're wasting a lot of energy that you could be using to actually be wealthy. One of the things that I've heard someone say, and it just clicks with me and I'll never forget, man, trying to look wealthy will keep you broke.
Yeah, that's true.
So why not actually be wealthy?
Right. And just to add on to that, man, because I play, well, I don't know if you know, but for anybody that's listening, I play rugby for the USA national team. I've been around some of these NFL guys. I've been around some of these rappers, some of these guys that present that lifestyle. And a lot of times you go and talk to these jewelers, one of the things that they'll do is they'll get you to, they'll use the rapper and he'll buy the fake jewelry. And they'll make it for free sometimes, and just so he can wear it. And for the drug dealers or for the other guys that feel like they got something to prove to compete with those rappers, they the ones going out and actually spending the $50K to $60K on these fake on this charade. Like you got, like when I was in LA, or not LA, in California, because the Olympic Training Center was in San Diego. They have fake studios, man. They got fake studios where you can look like you on a private jet. And I'm like, I see these girls going in there. Yes. It's crazy out here, and it's all fake. But to be completely honest, like, if I had to take like a broad view of everything, I think, and it could be just because of access to information. It's a little easier to access information. You ain't got to go dig in an encyclopedia or go to the library. But I feel like I do see some improvement when it comes to black men trying to educate themselves on money. But with that, but with that is going to come people that's going to try to take advantage of those people, right? And I'm happy you call these people out, like people that's new to the game and getting taken advantage of by these gurus. I'm happy you calling these people out. Can you please just elaborate a little bit what's going on? Because I've been following your channel. What's been going on with the whole Earn Your Leisure, Him 500 kind of, and what's the podcast payola? Can you explain that to the people?
Yes, sir. Podcast payola. All right. So I did a video the other day, man. We're probably going on a little bit over a week. Understand, most of the people I do a video about, I've never heard of them before in my life. Their content and what they do just doesn't run in the circles of what I do in my clique. But what I'm in a Facebook group of Black accountants. And in that group is a pretty cool group. We share career tips, advice, and the part that I love the most is we share memes. So whenever we see some kind of way out there, weird financial advice, or we see somebody in the media trying to portray as if they know something, it goes in the group and everybody starts to really to laugh at it. I wake up one day last week and it's a video of Him 500. Right? Never heard of this guy before in my life. Until I seen your videos, I never heard of this man ever. I never heard of him. Never heard of him before, but he's on a podcast and he's talking about how you can get $100,000 non-collateralized loan. So we're talking about non-collateralized, meaning there is no asset protecting the loan. So when you buy a house, the mortgage is protected by the house. If you buy a car, that auto loan is protected by the car, meaning if you default on these loans, the bank has something to repossess. The bank has something to take back to try to make their money back. He was like, man, I got the play. I got a way where you can get $100,000 cash from the bank, and it's a smooth little trick that you can play. You can go to Navy Federal. The man names the particular bank or credit union. I'm sitting here, it's blowing my mind. He said you can go to Navy Federal Credit Union, apply for an auto loan. You're not really trying to buy a car.
Right.
Just go online and Google some, car gurus and Google a car in your area and just take the VIN number from online and just give that to them. Right? They're going to write you a check for the car. But if you don't give them the title in 90 days, then they just convert the auto loan to a personal loan and your interest rate goes up. But you got $100,000 cash that you can invest in this and do that. Man, he has no idea that he has triggered 3 or 4 federal crimes by what he's advising people to do. So all of this, let me actually try to get to the question, but all of this leads me to where I'm at now. So I see this video. It's a quick one, man. It don't take long for me to break this down and talk about how if you go to a bank with the intentions to take something from that bank, namely money, under the false impression that you're going to buy a car, knowing you're not going to buy the car, that's bank fraud. Number one.
All right.
Then they give you a check to buy the car. You then take that check and you put it into the banking system, not to buy the car, but to cash the check so you can use the money for whatever you want to do. Now that's probably wire fraud, right?
Yeah.
Then when you go to the point of having to negotiate the check's not in your name. The check's probably in the name of the person you said was selling you the car.
Right.
So if you got your boy to say that he was going to sell you a car, that's conspiracy. No matter if he took a cut or he just said, man, you can use my name and I'll cash the check and give it to you. That's conspiracy.
Right.
Then the last thing he said, you can invest that money, put it into Bitcoin, do this, do that. The second you put that money back into the banking system so that you can try to create some legitimate business, now you're dealing with money laundering. We're talking about Fed time. That was not state time where, okay, you get 10 years, you might do about 5, 6, 3, depending on good behavior. No, Fed time, you do all time.
Yeah, you gone. You out of there.
So all of this is going on. I do the video. And next thing I know, I want to say, man, less than 24 hours, I get a cease and desist letter from Earn Your Leisure. I'm thinking to myself, what is going on? Clearly, this is bank fraud. They can't be trying to stop me from putting this content out. What's going on? So I end up reading the cease and desist letter from a lawyer in Georgia. And when I get done reading it, I realize Earn Your Leisure wants me to edit the video and take it down because I mentioned Earn Your Leisure in the video. And their name, Earn Your Leisure, is in the title of the video, but at the very end of the video.
Right.
And the reason why I mentioned Earn Your Leisure is because the video I was reacting to wasn't a HIM 500 video. It was an Earn Your Leisure video. It was a video of them being interviewed by another podcast, so Big Facts over at Revolt. They were interviewing Earn Your Leisure. But Earn Your Leisure now has an entourage, right? So they didn't just come to the interview themselves. They came with their crew. And part of their crew was HIM 500, who had on, like Earn Your Leisure gear. He kept mentioning, this is how you earn your leisure in the interview. So I felt like I'm well within my rights to mention the fact that this was a misstep. This was someone teaching people who were probably financially illiterate how to commit federal crimes.
Right.
And even while the man is giving this instructions of how you can try to defraud a bank, the brothers from Earn Your Leisure, you can see them in the video, they in the background. They're cheerleading. They're like, oh man, this is why we brought them. Y'all want to know why we bring so many people with us? This is why we brought them. Then they had the nerve to say, he's the most dangerous man on the internet. I'm sitting there like, come on, you can't be cheerleading the man while he's giving people instructions how to commit a federal crime.
Right.
But you don't want to be associated with it now. Right, you don't want to be associated.
You done got all the press and all the clout from the video. Now you just want to fall back. That ain't how internet work, though. That's
right. That ain't how it works. So now I'm hot because I feel as if you got this big platform, Earn Your Leisure, big platform, over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. Almost, I think, probably about 1 million over there on all the different social sites. I'm saying, now you sending me a cease and desist order, trying to shut me down. You on some bully type stuff now.
Yeah.
And I'm not the guy to bully. Don't let the glasses fool you. I can take these glasses off and it becomes real, right? I'm not the guy to bully. So now I'm hot. And then all of a sudden, I see another video from him 500. And in this video, he's explaining about how he pays money to get on podcasts. This is how he got in front of the audience that he has now. He talked about how he paid $50,000 to get on $1 million worth of game. So I'm sitting like, hold on. $50,000 to get on $1 million worth of game.
Yeah.
I watched the interview. They don't mention this as a paid sponsorship. They don't talk about how the brother, he's got a product that he would like to sell. And, because any other time that you have someone pay you to endorse something, you're supposed to put that all in your comments, pin it, let them know this episode is sponsored by blah, blah, blah. Let the people know. That's not what happens. If you see my video about podcast payola, you'll see the host of $1 million worth of game. They giving this man the most hype. I mean, the greatest hype man in the world.
That's the Gilly the Kid thing.
Yeah. They're giving him the biggest cheer, the biggest build up. They're telling you, hey, if you broke, this is what the brother says. If you broke, if you ain't got no money, if your credit messed up, after today, after what you hear from him 500, if you still broke, it's your fault. So he's hyping it up to the point where everybody's ears should be perked up.
Hey, JT, if somebody pay me $50,000, I'm hyping it up too. I need him to come back.
So I'm sitting here and I just show this is what they present on the $1 million worth of game. And this is what him 500 is saying what actually happened behind the scenes. He paid for that endorsement. It wasn't a genuine, like, I'm not paying you no money to be interviewed right now.
No, yeah, and that's why and I've had those people trying to contact me to get on here, and I'm like, he talking about I got a course. These courses $2,000 to $10,000. I'm like, man, what you gonna do? Just self help? All it's gonna be is just go out there and grind your hardest. And this, I'm like, man, that ain't how it works.
It's all mentality. That's what it kind of breaks down on most of these courses. So I'm sitting there, and then what ends up happening too is, I actually have a friend, someone that I personally know, real life, not just in these YouTube streets, but someone I know in the St. Louis metro area. And they're in finance also. And they agree with me that there's been a lot of guests on Earn Your Leisure who have seemed somewhat scammy, who have seemed like they don't exactly show that they're experts in what they say. So he actually reached out to them and was like, hey, man, maybe you should have me on the show because I feel like I can give more balance on, giving people real financial information. They never replied to him directly, but eventually he gets a phone call or a contact, right, from someone who's from the Earn Your Leisure team. Now, all of this is alleged because I wasn't on the phone call. But I can tell you this. I know this man. He's a professional man. He has no reason to lie about it. He wasn't telling me to do a show about it. All of this stuff just happened to happen around the same time. So he tells me that someone reached out to him and said, if you want to be on this show, you have to pay. And he was like, well, pay? What am I paying for? And it was like, I'm not going to pay for someone to interview me. And the person was like, no, well, you're not really paying for the interview. It's just that the guys, the show is blowing up right now. There's so many people. They're so busy. It's just that, you would be basically just paying for their time.
Right.
I'm saying and he knows he's not an irrational person. He knows that paying for their time is paying for the interview. So that's what podcast payola is. To the people in the audience, understand that payola is a music industry term. Back in the day, in 1960, the federal government came out with this rule about payola because people were paying to get on the airwaves. People were paying to get their songs on the airwaves because getting your song played over and over again is going to get you a hit. And it became so rampant to the point where an honest artist could not get on the radio unless they paid. And now it's a bidding war. If one person is willing to pay $10,000, the next one's willing to pay 15, 30, 40, it gets to the point where it's unfair practice. So it's not that you can't take money. I want to be clear. If you build up a platform, you have an audience, and someone is willing to pay you to get access to your audience, that's capitalism, baby. I'm an accountant. I'm all for it.
Right.
What the law says is you have to disclose that you have a financial relationship with the product, service, or brand you are promoting, because it gives off this false impression that you don't have any type of connection to this person that may influence your endorsement. And then so that's what brings us to today.
But but the thing is, so many more people are interested in that scam because everybody want quick money like that. Let's be completely honest. We got 100 and this ain't no hit to know, but we got 168 people here. Normally we have 300-400 people when we talking about women, right? And that's what people want. They want to just sit here and talk about. Don't nobody want to be responsible for what they actually got to do in life. Everybody want to sit here and talk about women all day. But we've been but just kind of going down that because there's channels. When I seen you doing that, it kind of remind me of like CoffeeZilla. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
And there's so many of these get rich quick gurus. They charging $2,000 to $10,000 for these self-help whatever's. And it's really just outright scamming. That's pretty much what it is. And just like over this epidemic or pandemic or whatever, OnlyFans got popular. A lot of people don't talk about how scamming kind of got popular. I see people on Facebook talking about these PPP loans. I can't get on Facebook without somebody in the story talking about some come get this 10K check in. I got can you explain to me what the PPP loan was actually built for, and then why people are and how people are taking advantage and getting these grants? And then right after this, we're going to get into the financial question. This is more just warming up. After this, we're going to get into the meat of the situation. We got to get people up in here, though.
Absolutely. The PPP loan scam is I know one of those videos of mine is the highest rated video. I got over probably 120,000 views from one of my PPP loan scam videos. And basically, for the audience, what is the PPP loan? It is the Paycheck Protection Program. So when when COVID hit and Congress passed certain laws to help out small businesses, and a part of that law, the CARES Act, was a short-term loan that could be forgivable if you spend the money the right way. It was a short-term loan to help keep people who were displaced from their job so that they can stay on payroll. It's actually a very smart thing that they did, and here's why. If they didn't do that, that person would be eligible for unemployment. Unemployment, even though they boost up unemployment, I think by an extra $300 a week, because unemployment is a state program, but the federal government kind of gave it a little boost with an extra $300 a week. But what if you're a person and you have a job and you make $3,000 a week? Right? Going from $3,000 a week to the state-sponsored unemployment ain't gonna cut it for you.
So ain't.
Right now, to the brother who's making $500, $600 a week, and now he's making almost $1,000 a week, that's a come up. But to the people who were already making $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a week, they're gonna lose their homes because of that. So the reason why this was pretty ingenious is because, one, you get the same payroll that you were getting before, right? Because your company is going to get a loan that basically equates to 2.5 months of the company's payroll. So everybody who was already on your books, who was working, if they're displaced, the company shut down, maybe it's a restaurant, now the restaurant's shut down, right? If you're shut down, you could apply to the Small Business Administration with the government, and they would give you 2.5 months worth of payroll. And these people, and you're still going to process payroll like normal. You're still going to cut them a payroll check. They're still going to pay taxes out of that money. Think about this for a second. I mean, a lot of people think the government is dumb, but when you have unemployment, Social Security and Medicare taxes and took out of unemployment, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's still going to be took out of your payroll check, even though it was funded with the PPP loan. So this was actually pretty smart. It's really going to help people who are of higher incomes, but they're still paying into the system with their money. And when they go and file their tax return at the end of the year, they still have to report that money like it's regular money, even though they may have been sitting at home for 2.5 months. So that's what the PPP loan was. Here's the issue. As an accountant, I can tell you right now, the average businessman or businesswoman, meaning a person who owns and operates a business, they might be extremely good at the business that they do, be it a barber, someone who works in construction, whatever it is. Clearly, they're good at what they do because they're successful in business. What they're not good at is paperwork. That's why I end up in the situation a lot of the time. They're not good at doing paperwork. Once again, the government was aware of that. So what they did was they made it extremely easy for a business owner to apply and get approved for this loan. Very minimum paperwork that was required. Very minimum paperwork. The issue is when you make it easy for a legitimate business to get the loan, you're also making it very easy for a scammer to get the loan.
Man.
And what ended up happening was it was right during the middle of tax season. So most people haven't even had an opportunity to file their 2019 tax return because it wasn't due until April. Then they kicked the can back to July. So if your 2019 tax return wasn't due yet, how could you produce a tax return to prove what you put on the application? The government said, don't worry about it. Just give us the numbers that's going to be on the tax return. So we're not even going to tell you you have to give us a tax return. Just give us some report. Give us something so that we can qualify you for this loan and get you approved. That sounds great to a scammer. What they don't realize is it's not that they're never going to check. It's just that we're going to say, hey, we're going to allow you to self-certify. We're going to allow you to say on your own what your numbers are. And then when everything calms down and this whole COVID thing relax a little bit, the IRS is going to circle back and make sure the numbers that you gave us match what you put on the actual form. And that's where people are getting caught up, because if you told the IRS that you have a payroll of $2.5 million, At some point, they're going to double back and look at your 941s, which is the
Right.
payroll tax return. If you're not in business, all these numbers don't mean nothing to you. But to an accountant, we know 1040, 941, 1120, 1120S, 1065s. These are all the different types of tax returns that a business has to file. And when it comes to payroll taxes, it's a 941. They're going to look and see, not only do you not have $1 million worth of payroll expenses, you never filed a 941. You don't even have a business. It don't take much to double up. Just because something can come easy doesn't mean that you're uncatchable. We can catch you. It's like, stealing candy from a baby. Yeah, you can steal candy from a baby, but if the security guard is right there and he's watching you run away, it don't mean I can't catch it. Just because it was easy to get, don't mean it's going to be hard to catch.
Yeah, I like that. I like that one. But okay. So say, and this kind of just going right to the next question. Oh, actually, before I go to the next question, somebody did super chat. Orlando Minor. I know PPP programs too well. My man JT dropping these facts. Always got the support. Yes, sir. Always. But let's say JT. Let's say JT gets $10,000 from the PPP loan, right? Mm-hmm. JT just decided to go rogue. He got the whatever. He got the 10 grand. Right. He wants JT smart. He want to spend the money wisely. What would you do to invest that $10,000 if you had $10,000 to put somewhere to better your life? I'm not saying it gotta be straight into investments, but just what would you do to better your life if you had 10 grand saved up?
All right, this is what I do. First off, I'm going to give a shout out to Orlando. Orlando is a great content creator. He's someone that I know in real life. The brother knows a lot about real estate. So if you're interested in trying to get into real estate legitimately, I would say make sure that you subscribe to Orlando. This is what I do. Let's say I've got a client that comes to me and they inherited $10,000. Right? Because it happens sometimes. Maybe a grandparent, somebody has a life insurance policy, a small one, not a huge one. You're not a millionaire, but you got $10,000. And people, life insurance is a form of non-taxable income. So if someone leaves you a life insurance policy and they cut you that check, that is not taxable income. So you're already starting on top. Right. So you got $10,000 and you don't even have to put that on your tax return for that year. You just got $10,000. What do? Here's the issue. It's no cookie cutter thing because personal financial planning is just that. It's personal. And here's why. Maybe I can find some way that I can create a portfolio that can earn you 8%, 10%. But what if you got debt on a credit card that's at 29%, right? So you got debt that's growing at 29%. That maybe that's $6,000 or $7,000 earning an interest of 29% that you got to pay back. You got $10,000 that you went to go see a financial planner, but you didn't tell them about the debt. Right. So they put you into an investment that's earning you 12%. 12% is good money. For an investment.
Yeah, that's good. Oh yeah.
12% is good money. But your investment is not going to outpace the debt that you already have. So what I would probably say is I got to look at the full picture here. Before I try to put you in some sort of investment, I need to see if you got any debt, because it might be smarter. Maybe we don't pay it all the way off, but we pay it down at least so that you're not being outpaced by the growth of your debt. Here's another issue. Let's say there is no debt. We take debt off the table. There's another thing that I have to look at. I have to see if you have an emergency savings fund. And here's why. Let's say you got that $10,000, but you have no money in savings, right? I then go and help create a portfolio for you, some mixture between stocks, bonds, mutual funds, something that can get you a nice 10 to 12% rate. But then an emergency happens. Let's say you lose your job. Let's say you get into a car accident. Let's say there's a worldwide pandemic and you're out of work for a few months. What do we do then? Because when emergencies happen, it tends to happen when the market isn't at its best.
Right.
When emergencies happen,
that's very true there.
Right. They tend to happen when the market's at a low point. So what are we going to do now? We're going to exit you from your investment where you lose money on the investment, right? So even though now we have to hurry up and scramble to get you liquid, because you're going from having investments in securities, but it's not so much liquid. You can't pay your mortgage or your car note with your Apple stock. You have to sell it. And if you're selling it at a loss and then you pay your bills, now you lost both ends, because now you got a cash outflow and you lost. So I'm probably going to check and see if you have an emergency savings fund. And as a financial planner, we tell our clients you need to have anywhere between 3 to 6 months of your regular bills saved up before you even start investing in most situations. Now, if you have some sort of incentive with your job, maybe it's a 401k and they tell you they're going to match 3% that you put in, that's free money. Go ahead and get that money while you slowly build it up. But that's why you need an emergency savings fund first before you invest, because when emergencies happen, you've got 3 to 6 months worth of your bill money saved up in a high yield savings account, a money market account. When emergencies happen, you don't have to scramble to your financial advisor and tell him to liquidate your account. You live off the emergency savings fund until you can get yourself back on your feet. 3 to 6 months should be enough to get you there. Right. So now we've got that saved. So now that we got that off the box, what should you do with that money? You need to see a financial planner, because the way that we're going to invest your money isn't going to be with blinders on. We have to invest clients' money in their best interest, and their best interest is going to be based on their risk tolerance. Right. So if you're talking to people about investing money and they never mention your risk, how much amount of risk are you willing to take? This person doesn't really care about you. They care about making a commission off of your money. Right. Because here's the issue. I've got some clients who I could probably create a portfolio for them that makes between 8 to 10%, right? With the type of money they got, we can probably get them to 8 to 10%. But this is going to be an investment that's more geared towards growth. And when you're in an investment that's more geared towards growth, there's going to be swings in the market. And you're going to be looking at your account. One day you're up 5,000. The next day you may be down 2,000, 3,000, right? If you don't have the gut, meaning the risk tolerance, to be able to either look at it and it not spook you, or it doesn't even sweat you to the point where you don't even look at it day to day, right? If you're not one of those types of people, if you're a person that stays up at night because your account is just swinging back and forth and you can't get a good night's sleep, we're probably better off putting you in something that's more safe, that's getting you 6 to 8%, and you can sleep well at night, rather than you getting 8 to 10% and you can't sleep. Because this is all about quality of life, people. Who cares if your account is going up and you can't sleep at night? Right. So that's what I would say. What would I do with that money? Number one, I want to make sure that I'm managing my debt correctly, because I don't want to have my money invested in something that's not outpacing my debt, because that's hustling backwards. Right. No matter how high your investment count goes, your debt is always beating it. Yeah. So we need to make sure that your debt management is squared away. Then we need to also make sure that you have an emergency savings fund, because what good is it to have money in an investment and then an emergency pops up and you got to hurry up and liquidate your account, and you're liquidating at a loss? Who wants to do that? So we need to make sure you got that set up.
And that was one of the things that happened, because just FYI, I was a financial advisor a little bit for Northwest Mutual when I was in college. I worked with them. Yeah, so I know a little bit about the commissions and whatnot. But I had some investments in XRP when I was back when I was playing rugby. But hard times came, just like you said. And I had XRP at about 20 cents. It was a cool 19, 20 cents. And XRP then went up to about $1.70, but I had to cash out all my XRP because something came up and I needed the money. Yes. So I can definitely understand when you're talking about trying to make sure you have money set aside for future, or just for tough situations, because they happen all the time and they happen when you need it most, or when you don't want it to happen the most.
Exactly.
We got C. Anthony Johnson with the $50 chat. This is why we like to. This is why we need to talk about money, because this is when the people with the money come out when we start talking about money. We got SSSJT. Stay on these scammers' neck. They are predator. They are preying on poor black people. I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
That's why the work that you're doing is so important. And I wish more people knew the importance of having a good accountant. I mean, two of the things that's guaranteed in life is taxes and death. All right, death and taxes. You want to do both of them things is guaranteed in life. You look at Al Capone, one of the most notorious gangsters of all time. He was committing all kinds of crimes. They was trying to throw murder charges at him, assault charges, this and that, prostitution, all of that. It turns out that after the St. Valentine's Day massacre, he became public enemy number one, and they went to the IRS to get the help because of U.S. v. Sullivan. Basically said that even illegal money is taxable. Right, so they not playing with you. You think you said do it a little bit and you good. They not playing with you. They need that money. IRS ain't playing. Yes. But long story short, they gave him 11 years for tax evasion, and he died in prison 4 years later, 4 years into his sentence from syphilis. And so basically what I'm saying is people don't understand the importance, and you gonna pay them taxes regardless. Can you explain the importance of having a good accountant? Maybe give some horror stories of when people didn't have an accountant when they should have, or sometimes when people need a good accountant and they didn't do the due diligence enough to find out if that accountant was legit or not. Because I done heard some pretty bad stuff.
Brother. All right, so the way I was able to make a name for myself as a young accountant is because I became known as a cleanup man. Meaning you come to me when you have a problem, right? Because I was young, I had just graduated. I've never worked for any huge institution. I was always raised from the age of 9 to be independent. So when I graduated from college, I knew I was going to have some sort of independent office. And for the most part, people who got money are, they're not going to go to some young kid. So I was able to make a name for myself because I was known as the accountant to go to when you have a problem. And boy, I would get all the problems. Here's one of the biggest issues that I see when a person either they don't have a good accountant, they don't have an accountant, or they have a scammy accountant. Man, a woman came to me. She came to me with a letter from the IRS because she was being audited. And she couldn't understand why she was being audited. Right. So she sits down, she comes in the office and she, puts her last year's tax return on my desk. And within 35 seconds, I knew exactly why this woman was being audited. And I asked her, because, she was an older woman. She made probably less than $100,000 that year. And I asked the woman, are you an extremely charitable person? Like, are you like just wild? Like, is it to the point where you're willing to give the shirt off your back with charity? And she was like, no, I give to my church, but I give, like 10% a year. I was like, okay, well, for some reason, when I'm looking at this tax return, you made less than $100,000, but it shows that you gave $60,000 to charity. She was like, I didn't give that much. I was like, I showed her, I said, it shows right here. Schedule A, your itemized deductions. It shows that you gave $60,000 in charity. Now, accountants know back then you could only give maybe about 50% of your income to charity and get a credit for it. Anything over 50%, it's carried forward to the next year. So even though it said 60, she didn't get the 60. She only got the maximum that she could get for that year, which was 50%. The rest was passed forward. But I knew it was BS because a woman like her is not giving away that. She's on pretty much a fixed budget. Yeah. The issue that I'm saying is she went to a place that was going to give her a big refund, a bigger refund that she would normally get. And the issue is, how can you claim you're going to give your client a big refund when you don't know their circumstances, their financial situation? How can you claim that? The only way that you can guarantee that you're going to give someone a real big refund is because you could probably guarantee that you're going to do some fraudulent things on that tax return. For example, you're going to put a home-based business on that tax return when the person really doesn't have a home-based business. So you can write off a bunch of fake business expenses to get them this big refund. What ends up happening is I was able to talk to the IRS and explain that the lady, she had no idea what was going on. She didn't tell this tax preparer that she had, that much money in charity and stuff like that. So she wasn't presented with any type of tax evasion criminal charges, right? We were able to actually track down the tax preparer and get him banned from preparing taxes, and he was in prison for 2 years, right? And now even after he's out, he legally can never prepare another tax return for someone other than himself. Right, so he's barred.
He's a goner. Yeah, he's done.
But here's the issue: she still owed the IRS money, even though she didn't knowingly participate in the crime of filing a false tax return. She did get a bigger refund than she normally would have.
Yeah.
If I would have prepared the return, she was probably due back maybe about $500. He did the return and she was due $5,000. Now he took $1,000 for himself. That was his fee. So in reality, she only got $4,000 from his criminal act, but she had to pay back $5,000 because technically the money still went to her, even if she ended up paying him $1,000 for his service. So, and then because it was a prior year, penalties and interest still accrued. So when it got all said and done, she probably ended up paying anywhere between $7,000 and $9,000 in the long term of getting on a payment plan and paying this back taxes back when she had no idea what was going on. That's the importance of making sure that you have a qualified professional in your corner. And that's just straight fraud. Let's take it on the other end when it comes to incompetence. Here's where incompetence comes into play. Let's say, your podcast is successful, brother. That's why I'm here today. Right? Your podcast is successful. And Google's going to give you a 1099 for all this income that you're making.
They need it. Oh, yeah, they need it. They're going to get this before I get mine. That's how taxes work. They get theirs before you get yours.
So let's say you go and you make somewhere around maybe $150,000 this year from the various ways you're able to monetize your platform. And you go to a person that doesn't really understand what tax planning is. They're not an accountant where they understand tax planning. All they know is tax preparation. So they're going to look at your information, probably put it on a sole proprietor Schedule C. So that's where, if you're a small business and you're not like a S corporation, C corporation partnership, that's where you're taxed. Here's the issue and why I think that's negligence, because they don't understand how to help you as an accountant. I would probably advise you, man, we need to get you elected to be taxed as an S corporation. Because
we got to talk after this. We go everybody on there. We gonna talk after this, JT. I'm trying to get into it, but yeah, keep going. My bad. I just say we got to talk after this
because there's ways that you can legally pay less in tax if you know what you're doing, or you hire a qualified professional to help walk you through. And here's why: when you're a sole proprietor, you're going to be taxed what's called self-employment tax. Self-employment tax is basically Social Security and Medicare tax when you're not getting a W-2 because you're self-employed. No one's withholding checks. When you get the bag, you get the bag, and then you pay the taxes later, right? So if a client comes up to you, they want a consultation or something, they pay you directly, and then you give the government the money later. So what ends up happening was when you're a W-2 employee, your employer takes out around 7.56% of your money goes to Social Security and Medicare tax. When you're self-employed, you got to do it yourself. Not only do you have to do it yourself, you got to pay double. You pay 15.3% because what most people don't realize is if you got a paycheck stub and you see that $50 went to Social Security and $10 went to Medicare, that's $60. What you don't know is your employer also put another 60 with that and sent the IRS $120. When you're self-employed, you got to pay both ends. So you're paying 15.3% in self-employment tax. This is in addition to income tax. So whatever your income tax bracket is, you're paying taxes over there, and you're also paying self-employment tax. So why would I say it's neglect if a person just allows you to keep doing that? If they understood the tax law and how to tax plan, they would say, like me, we need to get you classified as an S corporation because this is what we're going to do. You're making anywhere between $100,000 and $150,000 from your business. But if you were an employee of your business, you wouldn't be making that much money. You're making that money because you took a calculated business risk. And you're making this money because you invested in a business idea, and now you're reaping the reward from taking that calculated risk. So this is probably what we're going to do. We're going to cut you a W-2 for $75,000. That's the amount of money that the company is going to pay you as an employee of the company. But the rest of the money, the other $75,000, that's going to be flow-through income. That's the income that you earn because you own the company. And while you're still going to end up paying income tax on 150, you're only going to be paying Social Security and Medicare tax on $75,000, not 150.
Oh, yeah.
This is tax planning, not tax preparation. And to me, it's neglect. That person really shouldn't be handling a client of that caliber if they don't have the ability to communicate that. That's the importance of having a qualified professional. Now you're going to pay more on the upfront, but you end up paying less on the back
in the long run, right? And that's the thing. I'm all about long term. So instant gratification, it don't matter to me. I'll pay it now and get it back later. I'm cool with that. But we got a super chat from Lord Sinister 707. Question: I work in Cali as a RN, but my residence is Louisiana. I got credit for I get credit for taxes paid in Cali for Louisiana, but I still have to pay LA. I already have the home credit. What can I do to drop brackets?
All right. So they're a registered nurse. They're working in a state that's not their home state. And this is the importance of that. You are only supposed to be taxed once per government level. So what do I mean? Let's say I've got a client who's making money in Canada, and they end up paying, let's say, $100 in Canadian tax. When I go to prepare their U.S. tax return, I'm going to apply for a credit of $100 for the U.S. tax. So let's say they owe $1,000 in U.S. tax. The federal government's going to give me a $100 credit, and I'm only going to pay the federal government $900 because your income shouldn't be taxed twice. Okay? That happens on the federal level. It also happens on the state level. So that's what's going on with this registered nurse. She's being taxed on the money she earns in a state where she's not a resident, right? In California. But she's a resident of Louisiana. If you're a resident of a state, you have to pay taxes on all the money you earn, no matter where you earn it. So in her situation, let's say she's paying anywhere around, let's say $500 to California based on the money she earns there. But Louisiana says you owe us $700 for state income tax. She doesn't have to pay Louisiana $700. She just has to pay Louisiana $200 because Louisiana is going to give her a credit for the $500 she already paid a foreign state. So that's another important reason why you gotta deal with a professional who knows what they're doing, because you can end up paying tax twice on the same amount of income. Now, to address her question, what can she do to further reduce the amount of money that's being taxed? She has certain opportunities. Now, I'm not sure if she's a registered, I'm saying she, I'm assuming, and maybe it's a he. I'm not sure if they are a nurse in the sense where they're self-employed nurse, because a nurse can go out and get paid as a 1099, right, or they can get paid as a W-2. But I've got an option for both. Let's say they're a W-2 nurse. If they're a W-2 nurse, what they could do is open up an IRA, so an individual retirement account. And they can fund that account. If they're under 50 years old, they can fund that account up to $6,000. And they will get a deduction of $6,000 for that year for their income tax. And that money is going to be in an investment account that's going to grow over time. And when they reach the age of 59 and a half and older, they can take money from that account for their retirement, and they'll be taxed on the money later. So that's a traditional IRA. You got the money anyway, right? But instead of putting that money into a bank account that's not giving you a tax deduction, and it's money that you are saving for the long term anyway, why not open up an IRA? You can fund it up to $6,000 and get an additional tax deduction now in your current year that will also reduce your state income tax, because most, you got your federal income tax, but it's going to probably flow through to your state income tax about how much money you make. So you can do that. And if they were self-employed, you get a bonus. Because when you're self-employed, you can probably set up a solo 401k. And with the solo 401k, different from the IRA, your max is $6,000 that you can put in. But with the solo 401k, you can put in $19,500 as an employee. Then, because it's your company, as the employer, you can put up to 25% of the net income of that business, and you can max out at putting in around $53,000 to reduce. Now, you still got this money. It's not like you don't have this money. It's just not sitting in a bank account, not giving you a tax deduction. It's sitting in an investment account, growing to be there for you when you need to retire. Or let's say an emergency happens. You need to buy a house and you need a down payment for a house. The government says you can take out $10,000 from that retirement account and not be penalized for taking the money out early. Or let's say there's some medical issue. You can take out as much as you want for a medical issue to pay medical bills and not get hit with a 10% penalty for early withdrawal. The same thing for education. You have an opportunity to go back to school to improve your skill set so that you can be a higher earner. You can take money early out of that account and not get hit upside the head with a 10% penalty because you're paying for your education. So that is an option. And it's the same thing with the IRA and the solo 401k. The things that I talked about, how you can take it out. It's just that with the solo 401k, your limitations are much higher than it is with the IRA.
Oh yeah, he done already made his $20 right there. I'm trying to tell y'all better get right. Y'all better go ask these questions. You know the ones that super chat gonna get answered first. I saw PMP and my guy JT over here speaking my language. I had to stop and drop an offering. Like always, you bring bring to that great content.
Yeah. That person is a pocket watcher. They've been a subscriber to my channel for a long time. He's actually an accountant also. They're actually an accountant.
So you got the money people on your team. This guy is golden. Found out about him through O'Shea. Unfortunately, most guys don't care about the money and longevity. They only care about impressing worthless hags.
Hey, big shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson, man. That brother put me on his platform back when I barely had 1,000 subscribers. I mean, to me, he is the godfather of the Black manosphere. The brother put me on his platform. No podcast payola, right? Brother, no pod. I mean, you might see that I super chat him from time to time. Yeah, but it was no podcast payola. The brother, out of his heart, he thought my content was good, and he put me on.
Okay, yeah, no, O'Shea, because when I first came on, O'Shea was one of the first people that donated to the channel when I was doing a live stream. I'm talking about I got 20 people up in here. I got less than and he one of the first people to show some love, man. That's why O'Shea, if there's somebody that's around, it's O'Shea. That man be working behind the scenes.
He loves the space, and that shows that it's more than he doesn't get anything out of supporting younger brothers coming up that, like you said, had 20 people in the chat. It's because he loves the space And for that, I'm always going to be grateful to that brother.
Right, and he respect talent too. He's honest. He brutally honest. Red sings the blues with the $10 super chat. Get your money up, guys. Shout out to Pocket Watching and PMP. I appreciate you, man. Okay, JT, I got another question for you. And this one that this might come this coming from me.
All right.
So as an accountant, do you like stocks, real estate, or crypto right now, 2021?
Man, it depends. Once again, it's going to depend on the person. It's going to depend on the person. Now, me, because I'm an accountant and I like what you can do and the leverage that you can have in real estate. Real estate has been a wealth generating asset since the earth has existed.
Right. It ain't going nowhere. No time soon.
It's not the new boy on the block like crypto is. But when it comes down to any individual, we got to look at, what they're doing. But personally, I love the passive income that I'm going to get through a rental. The tax code is extremely favorable to real estate in a lot of ways. I'm also going to get appreciation from that property. Let's say I buy that property at $100,000 5 years ago. A case in point, I had a client come in the office just the other day. He bought a property in the St. Louis area around $130,000 after the 2008 crash. That property right now realize since 2008, he's been getting cash flow consistently from this property. It's a duplex, so he's got 2 renters in there. He's been getting cash flow month after month after month from this property since 2008. When we took a look and see what that property is now valued at, he bought it at $130,000. It's almost over $500,000 now.
I seen an article. I believe it was like 33% of properties, or it was something about in March, I believe it was, properties on average sold 33% above listing price or something like that. I was like, ridiculous. Oh, yes, sir. That's insane.
Ridiculous. So just think about that. He's already has a net worth of over $500,000 because of that property that he invested $130,000 a long time ago. But he's not taxed on that money. And the reason why he's not taxed on that money is it ain't real yet. It's only real when he's selling.
People don't understand how important it is. Taxes. Like, it's a reason why you see Bill Gates, Jeff. It's the reason why you gonna see them paying $100 in tax. They not paying taxes.
They know how to play the game legally.
Right, legally.
This ain't a hustle. This ain't a play. This is what happens because that the value of that house, while it's huge, he's not paying taxes on it because he hasn't cashed out. But what can he do with that? He can leverage that. He can go to the bank and get a loan based on the value of that home.
Get it appraised,
he can use that loan money to invest in other things that are going to generate him more cash flow. So while he's getting taxed on the cash flow, the appraisal, the equity in the investment is continuing to go up.
Right.
And it's building his net worth. Here's the accounting equation. How can you figure out what your net worth is, right? A lot of people don't even think about this. How can I figure out how much I'm really worth? Real simple formula. We take a look at all your assets and we subtract all your liabilities. So we look at all of the stuff you got and we subtract all the debt, all the money you owe. And what's left is what's referred to as your net worth. So while he's increasing his net worth, he's not being taxed on it. And he can leverage his net worth to make him even more money. So that's why I like real estate as another alternative. Now, real estate is not an extremely liquid asset other than the fact that you got that cash flow. Because if you had to cash out of that real estate, now you're in a scramble. You got to hurry up and sell the property. When you're in a fast sale, you're going to end up not getting the best price. So it depends on your situation. That's why I always say you got to have some liquid cash when you invest in things, because when emergencies happen, you don't want to have the gun to your head and take the L. But that's why I would say out of what you gave me as options, I say that crypto is the new kid on the block. It's
Yeah.
a non-regulated industry, so we don't know what's going on, how the government's going to come down on it. We already
No,
know
they
what
are.
the government, we know what the government thinks about real estate, and they give you an advantage. We
Right.
really don't know what the government really feels about when it comes to crypto, other than the fact that ever since last year, when you file a tax return, there's a box that you need to check that says either yes or it says no. And that question is, have you invested in any virtual currencies?
Yeah.
So ever since last year and moving forward, that question has been on your tax return. It makes me feel like the government has a plan for this cryptocurrency.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's
they keep
not
it.
to scare
They
nobody.
gonna get their money.
Yeah, that's not to scare nobody. That's just hey, this cryptocurrency stuff is on their radar. They're gonna do something.
Okay. So real estate. Okay, let's see. Mark Allen, peace, JT. I just started at a Big Four. I want to go to advisor route. Also, any advice would be appreciated, brother.
All right, this is what I would suggest. So the Big Four are the Big Four accounting firms that's in the world. There's 4 companies that dominate the market when it comes to accounting, and that's mostly going to be tax work and audit work. But they are starting to open up more in the world of investment advisory. Right. So they're going to probably have a division for him to go into where it's going to be consulting. But if you really want to get into the world of financial advising, I would say you need to enroll in a registered financial planning program. So the CFP board, which is the Certified Financial Planner Board, has a set curriculum for anyone who is interested in becoming a financial planner. That's the education that I would suggest to get. You can do a program that's online. You can do a program at maybe near a community college or even at a 4-year institution. But there's a lot of different options. But if you really want to get into this investment advising space and you don't want to be an investment salesman, so I want to make it clear, there's a difference between a financial advisor and a stockbroker, right? Or a insurance agent, right? People who get paid to sell you something, that's a sales rep. People who literally, like myself, I get paid to give clients advice. That's why I can tell you, man, before we invest your money, we need to look at the debt. Let's see if we pay your debt down first. A stockbroker is not going to tell you that advice. Why? He don't get paid if you pay down your debt. The only way that a stockbroker can get paid is if he sells you something. So why would he ever give you advice where he's not selling you something? And that's not the type of education you're going to get with a registered financial planning program. I would say with the registered financial planning program, you become a real big picture financial advisor. We get paid to give advice. It's unbiased. We're fiduciaries. We're going to look at your budget. We're going to make sure you have your insurance needs in place. We're going to make sure you're investing right. We're going to make sure you have a retirement plan. And at the end of the road, we're also going to make sure that you have a estate plan, meaning if something was to happen to you, if you were to pass unexpectedly, or if you're to pass because of old age, we're going to have a plan in place to make sure that the money that you busted your butt your whole life for goes where you want it to go and not where the government tells you it's going to go.
Okay. We got Charles Super Chat from Charles Hubbard. Super Chat from Charles Hubbard. Appreciate y'all. Anybody sending super chats, I really appreciate it. Anybody that's watching the show, trying to get that education, trying to get y'all financial literacy up, I appreciate that, man. Okay, JT, you just for the next question. You married, aren't you? You're married.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Me too. I find a lot of value in it. I think that my wife has helped me in a numerous. I'll say it like this: in this space, a lot of times people don't appreciate marriage. They don't appreciate what comes with it. But if you look at the top 10 richest people, and this is what I always say, you look at the top 10 richest people on their way to grow that wealth, they were married. You look at the top 10 richest people on their way to grow that. How did your marriage help you with your financial life?
Man, I can tell you right now, I would not be where I am today if it was not for my wife, right? I am not the most easiest person to deal with. I have not been the most perfect husband or perfect father. But from the strength of this woman who I met when we were in college, She invested in me before I had really anything. She saw something in me. And that partnership that we were able to create together is what fueled everything, and whatever I got today is based on the fact that I had a true partner. Someone that's not just a cheerleader saying, go, baby, go, but is also willing to help me get there on the road. So when I talk to clients and they're in a position where they're looking to get married or whatnot, I tell them, man, this person, you need to evaluate them the same way you would evaluate a business partner.
Right.
And the way you evaluate a business partner is you really don't look for someone that's just like you. Right? What's the advantage? Having two of me would annoy me.
Yeah,
I would not be able to deal with me. I need someone who's going to be my counterbalance. I need someone that's going to pick up my slack. I might be good at A, but horrible at B. If you bring two people into the your situation who's really good at A, B is really going to be horrible. So you want to make sure that you're building a relationship with someone who is going to be a counterbalance for you so that you can be a whole person. So my wife is a partner in business and a partner in life, and is the key to the success that I've had so far.
Right. And like, just adding on to that, like, for me, one of the benefits of me being in a monogamous relationship until I got to the point where I was married, just got married last year, so I'm new to the game.
Congrats.
Yeah. But we've been dating since I was 15. So so I take it serious too when I make a commitment. But just one of the things that's helped me, and I noticed this, is when I was going on to do things in college, I was able to sit back and educate myself and learn about certain things and do different things because I wasn't chasing skirts. I know a lot of dudes, and I'm gonna be completely honest, there's a lot of dudes that be like, oh, even just having somebody that's a good woman around you is gonna help you, just for the simple fact that you ain't spending all this money on what I call the most expensive vice in the world, which is women. So just having that person and knowing that, having a person that I know is going to be willing to have sex with me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't got to go out and I don't got to try to look a certain way and do certain things to be a kind of person that you have that sexual security. You know what I mean? So you don't have to go out and do certain things. So I really, that if there was one thing, a lot of dudes like to act like they ain't spending that money and they ain't spending that time texting these girls and on the phone. Y'all are. I know.
I can tell you right now, I've seen a lot of men be broke and busted and dusty from simping on women.
Yeah.
That's a fact, right? You're trying to compete, because realize this, young guys, this is to all the young guys that are, 25 and younger and don't have a steady person with you. Realize who you're competing with. You're going to be competing with men who are 35 plus. People who probably have a job where they're making anywhere between $85,000 to $200,000. Do you think you really can compete with him when it comes to tricking? Do you think you can really compete when he gives the girl $1,000 or some sort of bag, or he takes her out on a trip? That's nothing to him. You trying to compete with that, you end up living with your mom in the basement again. So stop trying to compete and simp and throw all your money at women who ultimately are probably going to go to the guy who's 35 year plus, who has the money to actually trick on them, right? Stop trying to compete with that and really find someone who's going to invest in you based on the quality and of your character, who you are, and y'all can build together, rather than spend a whole lot of money on girls that honestly, you're not going to really end up with them anyway. You might get lucky. But even in that chase for that luck, you're going to end up tricking off a whole lot of money that you could use to invest in yourself, get some skills that could either make you a very high wage earner or make you a very successful business owner. Put your money towards that.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm happy because that topic in particular, when it comes to the red pill community, when I look at you, I look at Anton Daniels. There's a few of us that's out here, and we married and we trying to put it together, but not very many. Anybody got any questions for JT before we go and get up out of here? We didn't hit the hour and 20 minute mark. Anybody got any questions? Quick questions. Obviously, super chat questions are going to be put up first, so y'all know how that go. But quick questions for JT. Anybody? Y'all better get y'all pockets right while y'all got the chance. Because I got questions for when we get off this chat. We need to have a small, short conversation.
Right. Absolutely.
But okay, I'm not seeing any. So, y'all, I really appreciate everybody for coming out. JT, you got any closing statements? Maybe you can plug your channel. Maybe how they can get in contact with you. You might have a lot of emails after this, brother. You weren't playing.
All right, so I appreciate everybody. Just give me a look. I'm not going to say subscribe because you might not like my content. I'm just going to say, come and check me out. Check out Pocket Watching with JT. It's a Real Accountant Reacts. What I do is I don't give financial advice. If you want financial advice, you can go to pocketwatcher.net, book a consultation, and I can give you some advice. But what I do on the channel is I react to different finance and business related videos online to help you really understand, is this advice quality or is this advice BS? And you're going to get my real reaction. And I can give, like with this interview, I can give little tips on what you can actually do and why you shouldn't do what's going on in the video. So check out my channel. It's Pocket Watching with JT, Real Accountant Reacts. And if you do want to reach out to me on a one-on-one basis, you can go to pocketwatcher.net and you can book a online consultation.
All right, y'all heard the man. Appreciate you for coming on, JT.
Oh, no, brother. I have been a fan of your content for a while. So, man, I appreciate the invite.
All right, man. Till next time, y'all.